Doc.
Hi, Kwame. Lexis Bill.
Today, guys, Doc is in his, what do you call that? What do you call that?
Pajamas. Work pajamas.
Your work pajamas. You look like you just came out of the operating theater and you jumped into the studio.
I was running late. I mean, so I didn't have time.
Is the patient okay? Or you have assistants who are taking care of it? Because it's like you're in the middle of working on a patient.
The patients are fine.
What were you doing? Circumcision?
Kwame, just in the Kwame, you should witness an adult circumcision once.
Adult circumcision? Why would you do that?
I'm saying
adult.
It's a service. We are at your service. Maybe you wanted to be a chief in the final call who said, it's one of those things that just blows your mind. Yeah. The different things that we come across in our line of work every day, it's just it's just amazing.
Well, talk of which, we get to have an open clinic today.
Yep.
For the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about children's health, and we've had some education on various issues, infections here and there, and all. And today we decided to activate the phone lines so that if you out there listening in, you have any question, you need clarity on anything as well with regards to children's health. Yeah. And that's because, school just reopened and the kids are back in school right now. So we needed to talk about kids' health and things that bother on children's well-being. And so we are going to activate the phone lines this afternoon. 0302216541. If you have a message, you can send it to us on WhatsApp on 055-111-1997. Any question at all regard to the topic that I mentioned, Doctor will speak to it.
Right.
But before we do that, I'm sure you have, we can do a little bit of a recap and then a few issues that you want to touch on before we get to the phone lines. Right,
absolutely. And Kwame, when we talk about kids' health, let's include the teenagers in there. They tend to have a lot of that. They're going through that transitional phase as well. So anybody out there who has a teenager today, I met a young man who, oh boy, they like to see themselves as men, going to Presec, Form 2 or something.
Okay.
It says House 11. Kwame.
Oh, there's House 11 now? Oh, wow. The school is growing.
The school is growing.
Wow.
There's House 11. So I know that the teenagers are also going to school. So please don't restrict yourself to only children, like the primary school children. But feel free if you have any offspring going to school, be it at the secondary school level or even at the tertiary school level, you have any questions, we'll try our best. I'll try my best to answer. So, Kwame, by way of recap, we've been talking about children's health generally and how the school environment can sometimes either expose certain difficulties that they have with their health or make certain situations worse. We all take our children to school hoping that they would acquire academic skills and also acquire the needed life skills and social skills for life. So, but unfortunately, sometimes we see a couple of things. We talked about the eye, and for me, it is very, very, very important. I would always say the last thing I want to lose is my eyesight. As long as I can watch Chelsea lose, Manchester United win, Blasters. That matter. Okay, so long as I can watch football there. I'm going to see what team that you.
Oh, yeah.
Bobe we need league no.
We are doing well. At least we are better than some red team. Yeah, understand.
Okay.
So when you but
right. So we talked about vision, and it was very, very important that you assess your child's vision. We talk about nearsightedness and then farsightedness. We talked about astigmatism. I also made mention of the nutritional deficiencies, particularly iron and iodine, that affect the growing brain. The brain is what the child is going to need most importantly that age, and you want to give the brain all the nutrients it needs for proper development. and therefore iodine is very, very important. You can get iodine from seafood. So I know one of my boys, Kofi, he doesn't like fish. So, fish, then he moves away. We should try and get them seafood, fish, primarily. I mean, sometimes when we talk about seafood, people are thinking about some expensive lobsters and things like that. But in Sumunam, seafood, it's rich in iodine. And fortunately for us in Ghana, the soil is rich in iodine in some parts, except the mountainous areas of the country. Iron is also quite ubiquitous. You find it readily in animal products. Meat, the form that is readily absorbed is in there. So again, children, if possible, you can give them just limited quantities of meat every day should provide them with enough iron. If you're a vegetarian, you can still get iron from plant sources, although you would need to convert it into another form for proper absorption. I talked about vitamin C, why it is very important to aid iron absorption. Worm infestation is also one of those reasons why you lose iron. And this country has a school health educational program and a school deworming program, which is a collaboration between Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education. They deworm children every year to make sure that they don't suffer from iron deficiency. Kwame, one other thing I wanted to mention last week that I forgot about is this myth that goes around about infection in girls. And I'm talking about infection down there, vaginal infections. People sometimes attribute it to using the public or the toilet in the school. And because it's a shared toilet, that concept that once you share a toilet or it's a public lavatory, then automatically you would get infections. Not true. At that age, most people or most of the children, girls, get infection. They come to the hospital and it is Candida vaginitis. That's Candida infection. Candida is a fungus that typically you would find in limited quantities in areas like the vagina of the female, but then it multiplies and causes inflammation or infection in that area when you provide the right environment for that multiplication to happen. And that right environment sometimes comes when females wash the vagina. Kwame, when you position a woman or a female, what you see down there is the vulva, but the vagina is just a muscular tube that connects the vulva to the uterus. So you don't see that. That one is inside. So we discourage the application of caustic substances like soap inside to cleanse the vagina, but rather you should wash the vulva, which is the external genitalia of the female. But unfortunately, sometimes there's a tendency to wash the inside with these caustics, and it kills some good bacteria in there, and then allows the candida to rather multiply. Candida again also thrives on glucose. All right, and Kwame, most of the time we tend to give girls and children sweets, and this is usually the source of the glucose that the candida then thrives on to also multiply. So I would strongly encourage parents and then even the PTAs or the school authorities, to come to some kind of arrangement with parents to make sure that they limit the amount of sugary substances that they give to children, especially girls in that age group, and not attribute recurrent infections to the use of the school lavatory.
That's some good education. If you need any questions answered, call us. The number is 0302 216 541. 0302 216 541. And like Doc said, you can ask any question, whether it's for children or teenagers or young adults as well. The younger generation, literally. Any questions around that, we can speak to that. So the number to call is 0302 216 541. You can also send us a WhatsApp message on 055 081119979 Nana says, Lexis, my teenage son complains of an itching Adam's apple. Itching Adam's apple. Is it normal?
Well, if he has an itch and it's on the outside, I don't know whether okay. So the Adam's apple, you can visualize it, and at that age, it's part of the secondary sexual characteristics. It becomes more prominent during the pubertal period. So if you're talking about the itch happening externally, then it's a skin problem and not really the Adam's apple, because the Adam's apple is sort of like, it's made up of cartilage. All right. But if he's having an irritation that is inside the throat in that region, it could just be an allergy that he has. I remember that some people will tend to contract the muscles in their neck to try and relieve an itch that they have. So they make the sound when they actually have an itch, and probably can't stick their fingers down into their throat. So they try to contract the muscles in their throat to try and relieve the itch. Same ways people have an irritation in their ears, and then they will stick poultry feathers in their ears and then try and relieve the itch, rub their eyes. Unfortunately, sometimes pick their nose because to relieve the itch. That set of problems we'll call it atopy. So there's a tendency to allergies. So that's where my thinking will be going with this. He may need to see a general practitioner, or may need to see a dermatologist to review it.
All right, we've got a friend on the line. Hello? Yeah, bro, please turn on the volume on your set for me. Okay.
Sorry, is it okay?
Yeah, it's better now. Good. What's your name?
Okay. For some reasons, I would want to hold that for now.
Okay, that's okay.
I don't want my office people to laugh at me.
That's okay. All right, we understand. Let's hear you.
So, my issue is that when I laugh like really hard, I feel some pains in my like both sides. It can last for like between 3 to 5 minutes. Yes, and it's really painful.
You said you feel the pain where?
On my ribs.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, my ribs, and it's really painful. So I'd wanted to find out if there is any issue or anything I should do about it.
Right, quite a bit interesting that it's only during the laughter that he has pain, over his ribs. Then probably he's laughing very heartily, and therefore putting a lot of pressure on his ribs. So
Me too, I have a question. What's making him laugh?
Well, maybe what is tickling him?
What is tickling him? Or who is?
Who is tickling? Right. Okay. So anytime we all laugh, then we contract the rib cage, and when we talk about the rib cage, you've got connections, group of muscles. We call them the intercostal muscles that join all of the different ribs. So definitely they will go into some kind of contraction. It's not just the bones, but there are a lot of muscles in our chest and our back and on our sides. So if he has pain, then we would like to evaluate the musculoskeletal system in that particular area, and he needs to be in a hospital. We need to do a physical examination to try and get better answers, and probably even take an x-ray of his chest. So that is what I'll be able to say for now.
So he took rib cracking literally.
Yes. So one of the first things we have to rule out is trauma. That he hasn't had trauma in the past. And that could crack his ribs, and then subsequently any deep breaths, for example, will go with the laughter, and then he's cracking his ribs. Yeah.
Okay.
But let's examine him first.
Okay. Good evening, doctor. Please, can too much usage of panty liners create candidiasis? I learned that it blocks the free flow of air. Let me just get the rest of the message. Just a second. It blocks the free flow of air over there too, and that's from the day.
Right. So if we talk specifically about candidiasis, we're talking about a living organism. We're talking about a fungus. What most people would know, or in Ghanaian parlance we call white. So it is a vaginal infection, and the things that usually encourage the growth of that candida is, one, that restrictive environment produced by some good bacteria, we call them lactobacilli. They produce acid, and the acid is the self-cleansing mechanism for that part of the body. So if you do not maintain adequate colony count for the lactobacilli, then you will be more susceptible, and not really a particular brand or too much use of a panty liner. It may give you some other challenges, like some irritation of the skin and mucosa there, based on what chemical component, like the way babies use diapers and then they will get a nappy rash and all of that. We can think about that, but specifically when it comes to the candidiasis, then I wouldn't make those attributions to that.
All right. So Patricia says 2 of my grandchildren have H. pylori. I wonder how they got it. They are aged 10 and 8 years.
Right. So H. pylori, it's one of the things that's doing the rounds. I think a lot of people know about it because of its association and connection with the development of ulcer, stomach ulcer, gastritis, which is sort of like a variant of it. But I think most people know about ulcer and say, oh, I have an ulcer. When I eat, I have pain in the upper part of my abdomen. Or if I haven't eaten for some time, I have severe pain. And we have noticed that there's a connection between the development of the ulcer and the presence of H. pylori in the stomach or the small intestine. So the organism usually colonizes that part of the body, but not everybody who has H. pylori would have it causing him or her problems. So Kwame, we carry so much bacteria on us, on our skin, in our hair, and in our mouth, in our gastrointestinal tract. So these days you hear about the good ones, which we will call probiotics. We encourage them. So we carry bacteria around normally. They live on us. Most people don't know that. And that's why when doctors are going to the theater, we've got this whole protocol and ritual about hand washing. And we're using carbolic soap, to wash thoroughly 3 times, and then also wear sterile gloves and all of that, because the skin covering our hands just full of germs, staphylococcus. We've got germs in our nostrils. That's why it's not a good idea to pick your nose. They didn't come from anywhere. They are commensals. They live on us. That's their natural environment. It is when they move from that natural environment, so they move from your nostril, they go into your eyes, then it will cause an eye infection. But so long as they live in your nostrils, they're probably not going to cause any infection. So in our gastrointestinal tract too, we've got bacteria that make that place or call that place home. But when you think about it, many years ago, when human beings bathing the way we are bathing, now we sometimes bath 2 times and all of those things. We're just born like that. We have bacteria. So you may be clean, but microbiologically you're not clean. But even with my Sakura, when I'm going to theater, I have to wear almost a hairnet. But sometimes I wonder, what am I covering my head for? The missus will throw me out of the theater if I don't cover my hair. I'm entering hair theater. Hey, but my Sakura, what should I? No, 1 strand of hair falls into a patient's wound, and it can pose great disaster, because on your hair you've got this bacteria called staphylococcus that lives on your hair.
Wow.
And it can cause an infection. So anything that my dry, I've shampooed my hair and all of these things. Yeah, you got a good load. You're carrying a good load of bacteria.
Wow.
And they do, especially the ones in our gut. And that's why some of us as doctors, we're very cautious about the use of antibiotics. When you use too much antibiotics, it's like just you're looking for a thief and says it goes into a house and you throw a bomb, like what we are seeing on television these days. They want to catch some terrorists, then they throw a bomb and then they kill 300 civilians and then one terrorist, and that's the standard now. All right, so that's what you do with antibiotics. You just clear the whole gut, or you cleanse the body of germs that do good for you. And the same thing with the candida thing. We tell women not to douche because they may cleanse the good bacteria, the lactobacillus that is in there. So that's the connection with the H. pylori and other bacteria. They're not coming from anywhere, but they live there in regulated quantities. That's where they call home.
So we can get to a point where we can live like bacteria free or germ free or something like.
But a lot of them are doing good things for you. That's why we do this probiotics thing. So now you're taking too many antibiotics. You wipe out the antibiotics. Now you say take probiotics so that you can generate the good bacteria again.
Okay.
So they do good things for us, and we call them normal flora. We actually have a name for them, the terminology that we use. That's where they are. They break down food for us and all of that. So yeah.
When you were saying you have bacteria here in our mouth, I just, me, my mind travels wild, right? Just imagining, when people have locked lips and they are exchanging bacteria. In the name of love. They take my bacteria, give me your bacteria. Oh, baby, I love you.
Oh, yes. I'll give all my bacteria to you and receive all yours too. Yes, Kwame. So if you study microbiology, you people may find you a bit weird. So I remember one of my lectures, you never shake hands with anyone. This is 2002, 2003, somewhere in medical school. And yeah, she never shook hands. And hands always behind her. And I'm sure in initial stages before, we're all thinking, oh, but that's weird and that's a bit rude and disrespectful and things like that. But you see, when COVID hit, what were you doing? Were you not to shake hands and things like that? Because the amount of germs that we carry, people pick their nose, for example, so then you transfer bacteria, but you've got bacteria in your nostrils, like nobody's business. So the nose mask in theater. So Kwame, just look at the way doctors dress up. Or get up when they go into theater. It tells you everything. So we've got our gloves, double, sterile. We've got our hairnet or our hair cap. And then we've also got our face mask. Because if you sneeze, the amount of germs you blow from your nostrils that would land in there cause a lot of problems. So yes, that's the microbiological data of humans for now.
Okay, we got a message from Akosia from Spintex. Lots of messages. I wish I could read all of them, but let's take this one from Akosia in Spintex, who says, my son normally complains of itching penis.
Ooh.
He's 7 years old. He does eat a lot of sweets. And is that a factor? He also doesn't like drinking a lot of water.
Okay, again, is it inside, or it's on the outside? Because a lot of it may be dermatological, the skin. And if it is the skin, then you want to look at a number of different, things. There's this condition we often see with the children called scabies. Children in a certain socio-economic grouping, or even when they go to school. So scabies, Kwame, looks like hair lice.
Okay.
That gets into the skin and it may produce a certain type of rash and over the skin in that region, and it's very, very pruritic. It itches quite intensely. So if it is on the skin and is itching, then you want to take a look, or you want to get a dermatologist to review. If it's on the inside, the urethra, sometimes the itch, is it an inflammation going on in there, or is it pain that is being described as an itch? Well, we'll start off by doing something like a urine analysis, and take it from there.
And Sam Bannerman says, I want to find out from doctor if H. pylori is communicable.
No. not the way we think about communicable diseases like COVID and so on and so forth. So sometimes when we do a stool test, we find that bacteria in there. So it lives in the gastrointestinal tract, and it's not going to jump and spread, amongst members of the household. No.
Okay, that's good. Any final words that you would want to leave us with as we wrap up this conversation on children's health?
Right, Kwame. So I think earlier on, before we came on air, I shared a picture with you. It's a parent who brought in a child of school-going age, child under 5, with premature or precocious breast development. You'll have a child in that age group developing breast. I'll talk about this sometime later, but I would encourage all parents, and there's somebody who heard us, speak about that, and was like, okay, let me take my child to go and have a look. Please walk in, talk to your doctor, family doctor. Call us up at Medical's Hospital. Come talk to our pediatrician. Just bring your child. Let's do an examination. You may not know what we will find that you can arrest in the very early
And this
stages.
is quite serious. This is a child under 5 years.
Yes, child
with
under 5 years.
fully developed breasts.
Well, you see in the pictures,
Wow.
So it's precocious, and I'll talk about that, precocious puberty or premature breast development.
I am also more far profile better here. Then precocious. Yeah, then you see
lawyer for no cry baha no ma money omo kasa. Emo ihu na omo kakra.
But precocious breast. What is precocious breast?
For all those who want to reach out to us, the number is 0501 477 340. 0501 477 340. That's our WhatsApp number. And come in and have a conversation with our pediatrician.
Dr. Precocious. Dr. Yaw Osafo, CEO of Medical's Hospital. Thank you very much. And